Welcome to the Sleepy Dictionary. Tonight, we'll gently explore 100 random English words, one by one, slowly. Let your mind relax. Let the words drift in. You don't need to remember anything. Just listen and rest. Word 1, adorn. Meaning, to decorate or make more beautiful. Origin, from Latin adornare, to furnish, decorate. In a sentence, she chose to adorn the room with fresh flowers. Word 2, plummet. Meaning, to fall quickly or steeply. Origin, from Middle English plummet, meaning a lead weight. In a sentence, the stock prices began to plummet after the announcement. Word 3, beckon. Meaning, to call or signal someone, often with a gesture. Origin, Old English biagnian, meaning to make a sign. In a sentence, the cozy lamp in the window seemed to beckon her inside. Word 4, scrutinize. Meaning, to examine something very closely or carefully. Origin, from Latin scrutinium, meaning a search or inquiry. In a sentence, he scrutinized the contract before signing it. Word 5, reside. Meaning, to live in a particular place. Origin, from Latin residere, meaning to remain behind. In a sentence, they reside in a quiet village by the sea. Word 6, embrace. Meaning, to hold closely in affection or acceptance. Origin, from Latin brachium, meaning arm. In a sentence, she embraced her friend after so many years apart. Word 7, abandon. Meaning, to leave something behind, often permanently. Origin, from Old French abandoner, meaning to give up. In a sentence, the project was abandoned after funding ran out. Word 8, serene. Meaning, calm, peaceful, and untroubled. Origin, Latin serenus, meaning clear, calm. In a sentence, the lake looked serene beneath the morning sky. Word 9, resolve. Meaning, to find a solution or make a firm decision. Origin, Latin resolvere, to loosen or solve. In a sentence, she resolved to speak her truth, no matter the cost. Word 10, prolong. Meaning, to extend the duration of something. Origin, from Latin prolongare, to lengthen. In a sentence, he prolonged the goodbye, not ready to let go. Word 11, wander. Meaning, to move or travel aimlessly without a fixed destination. Origin, Old English wandrian, meaning to roam. In a sentence, she wandered through the park, lost in thought. Word 12, acquire. Meaning, to come into possession of something. Origin, Latin acquirere, to gain, to obtain. In a sentence, he acquired the skill after months of quiet practice. Word 13, comply. Meaning, to act in accordance with a rule or request. Origin, Latin complere, meaning to complete or fulfill. In a sentence, they complied with the safety regulations immediately. Word 14, derive. Meaning, to obtain from a source or origin. Origin, Latin derivare, to draw off water. In a sentence, the word derives from ancient Greek roots. Word 15, mingle. Meaning, to mix or combine, to socialize. Origin, Middle English minglen, to mix. In a sentence, the scent of rain mingled with fresh pine. Word 16, contemplate, meaning to think about something deeply and at length. Origin, Latin contemplare, to gaze attentively. In a sentence, she sat by the window, contemplating her next move. Word 17, echo, meaning a repeated sound caused by reflection of sound waves. Origin, from Greek mythology, echo, a nymph cursed to repeat others. In a sentence, his voice echoed through the empty hallway. Fountain pen word 18, yield, meaning to give way or produce something. Origin, Old English yielden, to pay or surrender. In a sentence, the soil yielded a rich harvest. Word 19, enrich, meaning to improve or enhance the quality of something. Origin, Old French enricher, to make rich. In a sentence, travel enriched her understanding of the world. Word 20, murmur, meaning a soft, indistinct sound made by a person or object. Origin, Latin murmurar, to grumble or mutter. In a sentence, the leaves murmured in the wind. Word 21, mediate, meaning to intervene in a dispute to bring about an agreement. Origin, Latin mediare, to be in the middle. In a sentence, she helped mediate the conflict between her friends. Word 22, adhere, meaning to stick firmly or remain attached. Origin, Latin adherere, to cling to. In a sentence, the label wouldn't adhere to the damp surface. Word 23, implore, meaning to beg someone earnestly or desperately. Origin, Latin implorer, to cry out for help. In a sentence, he implored her to stay just a moment longer. Word 24, bleak, meaning cold, barren, or hopeless in appearance or situation. Origin, Old Norse bleaker, pale or shining. In a sentence, the landscape was bleak, yet beautiful in its silence. Word 25, nuance, meaning a subtle distinction or variation. Origin, from French nuance, meaning shade or gradation. In a sentence, she appreciated the nuance in his tone. Word 26, absorb, meaning to take in or soak up. Origin, Latin assorbere, to suck in. In a sentence, the sponge quickly absorbed the spilled water. Word 27, dispel, meaning to drive away or scatter something, especially a belief or feeling. Origin, Latin disbellere, to scatter. In a sentence, she tried to dispel the doubts from her mind. Word 28, gleam, meaning a faint or brief light, often reflected. Origin, Old English glame, brightness. In a sentence, a gleam of light shone through the curtains. Word 29, convey, meaning to communicate or transport something. Origin, Latin conveyere, to accompany. Word 30, revive, meaning to bring back to life, consciousness, or strength. Origin, Latin revivere, to live again. In a sentence, the cool air revived her after the long day. Word 31, bask, meaning to lie or relax in a pleasant warmth or atmosphere. Origin, from Old Norse baska, to bathe or warm oneself. In a sentence, the cat basked in the afternoon sunlight. Word 32. Distort. Meaning, to twist or change something out of its natural shape or meaning. Origin, Latin distortus, twisted apart. In a sentence, the funhouse mirror distorted her reflection. Word 33. Vivid. Meaning, producing strong, clear images or feelings in the mind. Origin, Latin vivere, to live. In a sentence, the dream was so vivid she remembered every detail. Word 34. Navigate. Meaning, to find one's way through or across. Origin, Latin navigare, to sail. In a sentence, he learned how to navigate life's uncertain paths. Word 35. Withhold. Meaning, to refuse to give something. Origin, Old English withholden, to hold back. In a sentence, she withheld her opinion until the right moment. Word 36. Grace. Meaning, elegance or courteous goodwill. Origin, Latin gratia, favor, charm. In a sentence, she moved with quiet grace through the room. Word 37. Loathe. Meaning, to feel intense dislike or disgust for. Origin, Old English lion, to hate. In a sentence, he loathed dishonesty in any form. Word 38. Fragment. Meaning, a small part broken off something whole. Origin, Latin fragmentum, a broken piece. In a sentence, she held on to the fragment of a torn photo. Word 39. Abrupt. Meaning, sudden or unexpected. Origin, Latin abruptus, broken off. In a sentence, the meeting came to an abrupt end. Word 40. Divert. Meaning, Word 41. Soothe. Meaning, to gently calm or relieve. Origin, Old English Sothian, to prove true or reassure. In a sentence, the lullaby soothed the crying baby. Word 42. Timid. Meaning, showing a lack of courage or confidence. Origin, Latin timidus, fearful. In a sentence, the timid child peeked out from behind her mother. Word 43. Peril. Meaning, serious and immediate danger. Origin, Latin periculum, trial or danger. In a sentence, the hikers were unaware of the peril ahead. Word 44. Venture. Meaning, to dare to do something that may involve risk. Origin, Latin adventura, a thing about to happen. In a sentence, she ventured into unfamiliar territory with hope. Word 45. Elude. Meaning, to escape or avoid, often skillfully. Origin, Latin eludere, to escape while playing. In a sentence, sleep continued to elude him that night. Word 46. Whim. Meaning, a sudden or impulsive decision. Origin, possibly shortened from whim-wham, meaning a fanciful object. In a sentence, on a whim, she booked a trip across the world. Word 47. Deter. Meaning, to discourage someone from doing something. Origin, Latin deterere, to frighten from. In a sentence, the sign was meant to deter trespassers. Word 48. Dwell. Meaning, to live in or focus on something deeply. Origin, Old English dwellin, to mislead or delay. In a sentence, he dwelled too long on the mistake. Word 49. Discern. Meaning, to recognize or distinguish something with effort. Origin, Latin discernere, to separate or distinguish. In a sentence, She could barely discern his voice through the noise. Word 50. Infuse. Meaning, to fill or soak with a quality or flavor. Origin, Latin infundere, to pour in. In a sentence, the tea was infused with lavender and mint. Word 51. Immerse. Meaning, to involve deeply or submerge in a liquid or experience. Origin, Latin immergere, to plunge into. In a sentence, she immersed herself in the sound of the rain. Word 52. Commence. Meaning, to begin or start something. Origin, Latin comminiciare, to initiate. In a sentence, the ceremony will commence at dawn. Word 53. Retain. Meaning, to keep possession of something. Origin, Latin retenere, to hold back. In a sentence, he retained only fragments of the memory. Word 54. Tangible. Meaning, perceptible by touch, real and concrete. Origin, Latin tangere, to touch. In a sentence, her progress felt slow, but tangible. Word 55. Linger. Meaning, to stay in a place longer than expected. Origin, Old English lingon, to prolong. In a sentence, the scent of his cologne lingered in the hallway. Word 56. Surpass. Meaning, to exceed or go beyond a limit. Origin, Latin superpasser, to overstep. In a sentence, her results surpassed all expectations. Word 57. Falter. Meaning, to lose strength, confidence, or momentum. Origin, Middle English faltern, to stagger. In a sentence, his voice faltered as he spoke. Word 58. Obscure. Meaning, not easily seen, understood, or known. Origin, Latin obscurus, dark, hidden. In a sentence, the moon was obscured by drifting clouds. Word 59. Conjure. Meaning, to call upon or create, often as if by magic. Origin, Latin conjurare, to swear together. In a sentence, the story conjured images of her childhood. Word 60. Sustain. Meaning, to keep something going or provide support. Origin, Latin sustenere, to hold up. In a sentence, her hope sustained her through the long night. Word 61. Captivate. Meaning, to attract and hold the attention of someone. Origin, Latin captivare, to seize or capture. In a sentence, her storytelling skills could captivate any audience. Word 62. Humble. Meaning, having or showing a modest opinion of one's importance. Origin, Latin humilis, lowly, from the earth. In a sentence, he remained humble despite his achievements. Word 63. Diminish. Meaning, to make or become less. Origin, Latin diminuere, to reduce. In a sentence, the medicine helped diminish the pain. Word 64. Radiate. Meaning, to emit energy or heat in the form of rays or waves. Origin, Latin radiatus, beaming. In a sentence, warmth radiated from the fireplace. Word 65. Shelter. Meaning, a place that provides protection from weather or danger. Origin, Middle English shelteren, to protect. In a sentence, they found shelter beneath the trees. Word 66. Waver. Meaning, to hesitate or be uncertain. Origin, Old English waifian, to fluctuate. In a sentence, she wavered before making the decision. Word 67. Yearn. Meaning, to have an intense feeling of longing for something. Origin, Old English yearnin, to desire. In a sentence, he yearned for peace after a long day. Word 68. Drift. Meaning, to move slowly or aimlessly. Origin, Old Norse dryfa, to fall in a shower. In a sentence, the boat began to drift with the current. Word 69. Lurk. Meaning, to lie in wait or move about stealthily. Origin, Middle English lurkin, to hide. In a sentence, a shadow seemed to lurk behind the door. Word 70. Grasp. Meaning, to take hold of something firmly. Origin, Old Norse grappa, to seize. In a sentence, she grasped the concept quickly. Word 71. Nestle. Meaning, to settle or lie comfortably within or against something. Origin, Old English nestlian, to build a nest. In a sentence, the puppy nestled into the warm blanket. Word 72. Haunt. Meaning, to repeatedly appear in one's thoughts or memory. Origin, Old French hanner, to frequent, visit. In a sentence, that conversation continued to haunt her for days. Word 73. Savor. Meaning, to enjoy something completely. Origin, Latin sapere, to taste. In a sentence, he savored the silence after a noisy day. Word 74. Coax. Meaning, to gently persuade or influence. Origin, possibly from Middle English coax, fool. In a sentence, she coaxed the kitten out from under the bed. Word 75. Wane. Meaning, to decrease gradually in size, strength, or intensity. Origin, Old English wanian, to lessen. In a sentence, his enthusiasm began to wane as the night wore on. Word 76. Cradle. Meaning, to hold gently and protectively. Origin, Old English cradle, a little bed. In a sentence, she cradled the mug of tea in her hands. Word 77. Quiver. Meaning, to tremble or shake with slight motion. Origin, Middle English quiverin, to tremble. In a sentence, his hands quivered in the cold. Word 78. Ramble. Meaning, to walk or talk aimlessly. Origin, Middle Dutch rammelen, to wander. In a sentence, they rambled through the countryside for hours. Word 79. Blur. Meaning, to make something unclear or less distinct. Origin, probably Scandinavian origin. In a sentence, the rain blurred the view from the window. Word 80. Trickle. Meaning, to flow in a small stream. Origin, Middle English tricklin, to flow slowly. In a sentence, water trickled from the leaky pipe. Word 81. Drench. Meaning, to soak thoroughly. Origin, Old English drinkin, to make wet. In a sentence, the sudden downpour drenched her coat. Word 82. Murmur. Meaning, a soft, indistinct sound made by a person or group. Origin, Latin murmurar, to grumble. In a sentence, the murmur of voices echoed down the hallway. Word 83. Tremble. Meaning, to shake involuntarily. Origin, Latin tremulare, to tremble. In a sentence, she trembled with nervous anticipation. Word 84. Peep. Meaning, to look quickly and secretly. Origin, Middle English peepin, to chirp or squeak. In a sentence, he peeped through the curtains at the street below. Word 85. Fade. meaning to gradually lose brightness or strength. Origin, Latin fatuous, foolish, later applied to weakening or softening. In a sentence, the colors of the poster had faded over time. Word 86, mellow, meaning soft, rich, and pleasant in tone or character. Origin, Middle English mellow, ripe, soft. In a sentence, the music had a mellow, relaxing rhythm. Word 87, glance, meaning to take a brief or hurried look. Origin, Middle English glänzen, to strike or graze. In a sentence, she gave a quick glance at the clock. Word 88, flicker, meaning to burn or shine unsteadily. Origin, Middle English flickern, to flutter. In a sentence, the candle flickered in the breeze. Word 89, hush, meaning to make or become silent. Origin, Middle English hushed, in imitation of the sound. In a sentence, she hushed the children gently. Word 90, glisten, meaning to shine with a soft, reflected light. Origin, Old English glistening, to shine. In a sentence, dewdrops glistened on the grass. Word 91, slumber, meaning to sleep, especially lightly or peacefully. Origin, Middle English slombrin, to doze. In a sentence, he fell into a gentle slumber by the fire. Word 92, tuck, meaning to fold or push something into place for comfort or neatness. Origin, Old English tuschen, to punish or reproach, later softened. In a sentence, she tucked the blanket around his shoulders. Word 93, gaze, meaning to look steadily and intently. Origin, Scandinavian gasa, to gape or stare. In a sentence, he gazed at the stars in silence. Word 94, dabble, meaning to take part in an activity casually or briefly. Origin, Dutch dabbelen, to splash water. In a sentence, she dabbled in painting during her free time. Word 95, shimmer, meaning to shine with a soft, wavering light. Origin, Old English Cimmerian, to glimmer. In a sentence, the lake shimmered under the moonlight. Word 96, soften, meaning to make something less hard or severe. Origin, Old English softening, to become soft. In a sentence, time had softened his once harsh tone. Word 97, mutter, meaning to speak in a low, barely audible voice. Origin, Middle English motrin, to mumble. In a sentence, he muttered something under his breath. Word 98, nest, meaning a snug or comfortable resting place. Origin, Old English nest, from Proto-Germanic. In a sentence, she created a nest of pillows and blankets. Word 99, sink, meaning to go down below the surface or to a lower level. Origin, Old English sinkan, to fall or descend. In a sentence, the sun slowly sank behind the horizon. Word 100, still, meaning not moving or making a sound. Origin, Old English still, motionless. In a sentence, the house was completely still after midnight. That's all for tonight. 100 quiet, thoughtful words. Let them echo softly in your thoughts or fade into the dark. You don't have to remember any of them. You've already done enough for today. Sleep well.